But in the meantime, Obama administration gets the time to put the regulations in place.
I was just going to make that.
Yeah.
I was going to make that point. Is that this is happening at a good time for President Obama because it highlights the problem in the financial industry, and what he's trying to do is reform that industry. And interestingly enough, the Republicans, of course, are not with President Obama, even though they say they want reform. They don't want his reforms. So what it looks like for the Republicans is that they're somehow alliancing themselves with the big bad banks. And
I don't want to go there. I want to keep it to the Goldman Sachs, and I want to tell you.
Back to Goldman Sachs. You remember when Bear Stearns went down. That was an institution falling to the ground. Goldman Sachs didn't actually go through all of that when everybody else went through it. They kind of squeaked by, and you wondered, well, okay, maybe they're doing things right. But here you go. A few months later, a year later, and here you are.
But you know, the insurance companies like AIG, ACA, and some of the others, they actually almost went under because of these practices. They were hitting the insurance companies. Here it is, you take a basket of securities and everybody say, these are AAA. Take it to the bank. These are AAA. And turns around, you insure them, and they were worth almost nothing, you know. And that's what I think the government is looking into, and I hope they catch them. I'm not saying that the Goldman Sachs is guilty as charged.
They're probably not alone. I think this became an industry practice, and I would venture to guess that if there is something that happens as a result of this, it won't just be Goldman Sachs that's implicated.
Well, I hope many more are, because this was really a tsunami that hit us. It can't be just one or two people. It has to be a whole lot of people that have done this.
It was preventable, and you know, you have to wonder, maybe it wasn't maliciously intended, but at the end of the day, they were playing with fire and they knew it.
It was maliciously intended. They're still paying their people a tremendous amount of money for making money. Making money from where? From thin air, which is what they're specializing in. But I think the government's decision to sort of break them up if they're too big to fail, you know, shrink them up a little bit, I think it's the right idea.
And I don't think that's big government. You know, the argument is that is big government. No, that's just smart. We've been through this enough times now. We've gone through monopolies. We've seen it in our history. This is not big government. This is just regulation that helps keep the industry honest. You know what they're calling President Obama now?
What?
In the financial circles. They're calling him Wallbuster. Well, I wanted to share an interesting trend that's being tried out here in D.C. on the dating scene. You know, there have been lots of different dating events around town. One of the more interesting ones is the 4-minute speed dating, which if you've never done is interesting. You know, you have to get everything out in 4 minutes with the person you're sharing the conversation with. They have to do the same thing, and then later on you get to figure out if there was a connection or not. Well, there's a whole new spin on this concept that the Post talks about in one of their articles, which I thought was just, I'll let you decide. In this case, it's singles getting together, but not for a 4-minute conversation. They're actually just sitting across at each other and not saying anything, just gazing into each other's eyes.
Yeah, seriously, I saw that, yeah.
There's an eye-gazing, they call them eye-gazing parties, and you literally just go. And the premise is that you fall in love with someone when you look into their eyes.
That's done in India all the time.
Well, maybe we're borrowing something from the East, because the philosophy behind this is if you sit across from someone for 2 minutes, you don't say anything, you are actually still analyzing a lot of things about them. They call it studying someone's face is a way to assess their personality.
It's very difficult to do, though.
I don't know how exactly what the science is here, but I do believe in there being instant connections, certainly instant physical connections you might have with someone, or attraction that you feel immediately for someone, and a lot of that is because of your eye communication, right? You catch someone's eye. Why do people say that? Because in that moment is when you have that feeling of mutual attraction. So they're drawing on that, except they're drawing it out for 2 whole minutes. So I would just start laughing after 15 or 30 seconds. I don't know how people actually sustain it throughout. But the people that have gone, the ones that find that it works, they're fans. I might have to go try this out and report back. I don't know.
You know, it's perfectly fine to laugh, you know.
Well,
but
sure,
at the same time, you know, if you have a pretty face, yeah, people can look at it for 2 or 3 minutes. But if you have character in your face, which means scars, this and that, you're just thinking about the stories. Where did he get it from?
Well,
what happened?
And that's the point. They actually say that, when we sit across from someone and we study them this way, we have mirror neurons that ensure that the moment someone sees an emotion expressed on your face, they will have that same emotion or recognition of that feeling for themselves. It's kind of a strange phenomenon, but it's kind of like empathy. If you're feeling an emotion, if I can read it in your face, then I might feel that same emotion. So again, they're just using a different concept, blocking out conversation, and I have to admit I'm curious.
They in India, in India, the priests go through Maun Vrat. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, what it is, Maun Vrat means you just stop talking for 24 hours. You don't say a word, you don't communicate, you don't do nothing, you just speak nothing. And that is supposed to be good for you, and from a religious reason, it's very spiritual because inside you're talking with yourself and not outside.
Well, I think you are onto something. As a matter of fact, this event was held at a yoga club. So I assume that maybe someone had this brilliant stroke of genius to take that concept and apply it in this way for different purposes. But hey, it might work. You never know.
Folks, Wired Magazine has written about robotic pancreas. Now, this is a sort of a machine that you put it on,